the Almost Perfect Podcast. Welcome to the Almost Perfect Podcast, a celebration of fuck-ups, failures, and falling flat on your face. This is a podcast that believes you can learn from experience, but that experience doesn't have to be your own. Hi, I'm Bob Perfect, and I'm a functional fuck-up. Let's learn from someone else's mistakes. So this is it. This is the Almost Perfect Podcast. It is finally a thing. It is real. It is in your ears, and it is coming out of my mouth, which is pretty dope. This is something I've actually tried to do a few times now. I have done two previous episodes, one with Bala Winster, one with Neil Green, and both kind of sounded like shit. So that is why they are not ever going to be released, or they might be released like in 10 years time as a super premium bundle where Spotify takes 90% of the money or something. Anyway, this is the Almost Perfect Podcast, like I've said like a few times now already, and this is the first episode officially, and I'm pretty stoked that it is the one that it is. It's with Carvin Goldstone, and it's at a pretty interesting time in Carvin's life, and we get into a pretty deep discussion about a lot of different things, and I'm stoked that we got to do it. Carvin is kind of Durban's comedy godfather. He's been around for a very long time, like for the last decade or so. Him and a few other people back in the day kind of started what we know as a lot of the comedy scene in Durban, and he's been very instrumental in a lot of other people's careers as well as his own. So we chat a lot about the responsibilities that he's faced over the years. We chat about the beginning of his career and why he quit a few times, and it's oddly enough, well, not oddly enough, but it's got to do with religion, and we actually have a pretty deep discussion about religion, although that's mostly me talking in that one, but we get pretty deep into it. We get deep into his parents. We discuss his mom and dad, and what he gets from each of them, and what he gets from each of them has kind of led him to the path that he's on now, and it's led him to winning 2 Comics Choice Awards over the course of the weekend, but not accepting them. And we get into that. We get into why he is not accepting the Comics Choice Awards that he won, even though he entered into them, because there was a category that he disputed and requested an audit for leading up into the Comics Choice Awards, and it never happened. And so he feels he obviously can't, be complicit in this thing, and he can't accept the awards, which sucks, because he definitely deserves awards. If anyone, like anyone in stand-up comedy in South Africa, in any comedy fan, anyone, like not even just in South Africa, like people around the world know the guy now. So he's definitely an award deserving comedian, and it seems like obviously the South African comics think so too, since they voted for him to win 2 awards this weekend. But like I said, he hasn't accepted them, and we do discuss that and how he got his moral compass that led him there, and all the experiences that led him there. And while this podcast is meant to be something that, I'm trying to learn from other people's mistakes, essentially, I don't know if I angle it quite enough in here, or if that's even a thing I'm going to really do. I feel like we can just pick up for ourselves, like what we learn from other people's experiences in life. And Carvin does talk a little bit about his failures. We do, look at his early days of comedy. We look at him, just, we get to know the guy, like behind the mic, I guess. Although if you've ever watched his comedy, he's a pretty honest cat. He's a pretty good reflection of himself on stage. And he's really good at reading people and interpreting things, at being empathetic. And I don't know, I've got a lot of respect for the guy. I'm really stoked I got to chat with him first for this, and I hope you get a lot out of this conversation. I hope you learn a bit from him. I hope you learn about him, and at the end of the day, I hope we can do this again soon. I definitely want to chat to Carvin again in the near future. Well, not too soon on this podcast. Obviously, there's so many other people that also I want to introduce you to, that I want to get to know, that I want to have cool conversations with, and who I want to get the stories, man. I want to find out what people have done, where they come from, what their fuck ups are, what their failures are, what are the things that they've learned in life. Try and unlock the cheat codes without having to fail more myself, because I've done enough of that, and it doesn't seem to be working quite enough. Like I'm getting there on my road to success, I think, but it's been a bit of a slow journey. So now I'm going to try and unlock the cheat codes from other people's mistakes. Here comes Carvin Goldstone. This is the first episode. Hope you enjoy. Yeah, there we go. This is officially happening. You know how long I've tried to make like the Almost Perfect podcast a thing? It's been like nearly a year, and now finally it's happening. I'm doing the interview with Carvin Goldstone. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Bob, and you?
I'm very good, man. Like, this has, been something I wanted to do forever. I'm super stoked that you're one of the people that I get to do it with, because you're kind of like the godfather of Durban comedy.
Sure.
Like,
it's a lot of pressure.
Why is it pressure?
It's an interesting thing. Because I never felt pressure, but I feel like I'm starting to feel that pressure a bit. When people say like, "Oh, Carvin, you look the godfather," things like that. Like you're the godfather, because
not in the way that like you're gonna make someone like wake up with a horse's head like in their bed.
But like just that, like people expect fatherly things from me in this business in Durban.
And do you hate that expectation now? Like, because you think like even like new people like come to you and they like have a expectation of what you can give them.
So I'm worried that I'm gonna start doing it because I'm expected to do it, as opposed to, I suppose people see it that way because I did it, but I didn't do it because I was expected to do it. I did it because
you wanted to do it.
Because I wanted to do it. So I don't want it to become like a little trap. Where you're the godfather, so you must behave like the godfather and kill everyone. So I'm just trying to understand my own space in Durban, because as you know, bruh, this is a unique space. It's a much maligned space. People don't look on it and say, I want to go to Durban and be great.
No, everyone, like, I mean, depending though, if you like live in a small coastal town, then that is the thing. Like, so many of our friends have like come here because, you know, like people that I know have come from smaller towns, but everyone from Durban is like, oh, I got to go to Joburg, I got to go to Cape Town to like really make it, you know?
It is perspective, you're right.
Yeah.
So depending on what your starting place is, Durban might be
a step up.
But
most people don't see it that way. But
well, in our business, not really, because our business involves reaching mass people at some point.
But there are so many people in Durban. Like, the thing that irritates me is that people, you know, always look at the Joburg comedy scene and like think it just started like how it is now.
Yeah.
Like, it started somewhere. Like, it started with, you know, small gigs. It started with what we're doing essentially. So that's why I'm always like, yeah, you could leave, but you could also help make us, you know, like Joburg. Maybe not on the same scale, but for our the size of our city, we could definitely have a thriving comedy scene, and I think we're doing it. So I think we're getting there.
Yeah, we way better. My first year, Bob.
I want to actually, this is perfect because this is what I want to talk about. What was it like when you started doing comedy in Durban, and how long ago was that?
Okay, so it's a bizarre story. I used to impersonate people at work.
You're good at voices.
Yeah. If I know you, I'll nail you at some point.
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of that.
And so I found myself impersonating people like while I was working at the newspaper, and then it got to a point where it was like, okay, Carvin, you can take this to the stage now. Well, that's what my colleagues would say. And I was like, nah. So in 2006, I decided I'll try it out. Only because a competition appeared. Comedy competition. Okay, so when you think of a comedy competition, I don't know what most people think of, like a bunch of...
I've been in one, I think, or two.
Okay. Yeah. Usually not like very well attended or whatever.
No, the whole point of a comedy competition is to get the comedians to bring their friends. So if you have like each comedian bringing like 10 people, then you've got a full show, and you're only paying the one comedian who wins, and sometimes you're not even paying that guy. So that's why like comedy competitions, just like Battle of the Bands, are just fucking whack in my eyes. But anyway.
Yeah. So what happened was, this competition didn't turn out like that. This one had hundreds and hundreds of people. The show was divided over 5 shows.
Oh fuck!
At Sibaya, like 600 people per show.
That's
now I don't know how the promoters managed to pull that off, to sell a show for 5 shows, 600 people a show, with a bunch of people who'd never done stand up before.
That is. How did that go though? Like,
they had a host. It was Yeah, it was a
that could turn
cemetery.
into a riot. Like,
It was death all over the place.
because usually with lots of people, it's a bit easier. I mean, I find like, but I don't know, like 600 people, that's a decent audience. If you can get like 200 of them to laugh, like you're doing pretty well there. Like, because then everyone will, you know, it gets contagious. But if nobody laughs, then that's even more contagious.
That spreads quite quickly. Yeah, and so I entered this competition, and the organizer put me last because I don't know. he
saw something in you.
He says the way the show's going, I'm gonna put you last, and I just feel like you might have something. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if you've ever been backstage with me. I'm very quiet.
Yeah.
And like, you know how backstage can be, especially when the nerves are high, everyone's testing jokes, and like I'm just backstage, dudes are just testing jokes, there's ladies that are just testing jokes. Actually 2006 or whatever, we had more ladies, I guess, than we have now. It's so weird at the start. So there I am just testing. No, I'm not testing anything, I'm kind of just sitting, and like the one guy even got like, says, what's up with you, bro? We all like, and you're just sitting here not even saying anything. I was like, this is how I roll mostly. Yeah. And let's just say it was a good competition. I had a good time. I learned.
So you went on last, and you're saying it's a good competition. How did you do though? Like,
so the first
how was
night,
your first set there?
It was basically, I think it's 5 shows. I went on, and then when I came off, the guy just said to me, "Man, I knew it. I knew it. I knew you had something."
And then the bug just like fucking hit. You were just like, I'm in.
And I was back the next day. And at the end, they had like this tally. People had to vote. They had like papers. Everyone voted. And then they said to me, "Oh, you know, you won a trip to London. That was the prize."
Holy shit.
Yeah, at a contract with some management company. So I was like not interested in that. And they said, they go together. I said, "Oh, you can keep it all." I think I found something that I want to do, and that was the beginning, and that was the end.
Why was it the end?
Because there was no other gigs to do. That was the end, basically. Until I got a call that there was this festival happening. Amashlai Tegu,
Okay.
which is like laughing Durban. Durban's laughing. Amashlai Tegu, comedians of Durban.
Okay, cool.
And this dude called me up and he said, "Listen, I heard you in this competition. Would you like to come through and do something?" And so this is like now my first proper like comedy show with comedians like who know what
Who actually know what they're doing.
Yeah, in the industry. So the host is Loyiso Gola, and
Your second show, the host is Luisa Gola.
yeah, the headline is John Flismus.
Fuck.
And
Okay.
the new guys is myself and Sifiso Nene.
Fuck. When I did the Underground in Joburg, I had that experience where it was like, I think John Flismus was headlining and Chris Forrest was hosting. Oh no, it wasn't Flismus, it was Dylan Oliphant that was headlining actually.
Yeah.
And Chris Forrest was like hosting, and I'm like, I'd done like 15 gigs before that, and I'm just like,
And there you were.
Yeah. I was like, shit, so this is stand-up comedy, huh?
Yeah, and it's a very important show, that one, because a cousin of mine had bought tickets for the show. I don't even think he realized I was in it until he saw me. My father's sister's son. It's a very close cousin. And that was the last time he saw me perform, because he passed away. We never got to see me again.
And so you obviously glad you got to do that.
Yeah, man, I'm glad that got to happen. And it was a good show.
I was going to say, I assume it went
Yeah.
well, or else you might have regretted that for the rest of your life. You might have been like, oh, the
It was a
only
good
time you
show.
saw me was...
It was in, I think, October. It was a good show. It was great. And I think, even though it was only my second show, everyone that was there was like, there was this dude, Kenny McKenzo. I don't know if you know him.
I think
He's
I
an
know the
actor,
name.
acts in a lot of
Yeah.
Schuster movies.
Okay.
The big guy.
Yeah,
white
yeah,
bearded
yeah,
guy.
yeah. Okay,
He was
I
in the
know.
audience, and he came to me afterwards. He says, "Dude, that was amazing. I don't know where you come from or what you're up to, but you've got this."
Okay, that's an insane experience though, like for anyone to have like, you know, both your first time doing comedy went amazingly, and then you did it multiple times in a row. You had you won the competition, or
I won the competition.
So first time you do this thing, and then the second time you're on stage with like, you know,
the big acts
and the big acts.
Yeah, the real big acts of the industry.
And people think you're amazing. So this is crazy to people like me who, I mean, the first time I did comedy went okay, like it went well, people laughed, but I also fucked up, and like that's a whole other story. But ever since then, it's been a roller coaster. It's never been like this thing where it's like I've always got it, and like
let me
I work so hard to like get like a tiny bit of like laughter out of people, and you just get on stage and it looks like you're just like doing the thing, and you even say you don't really write, you just have it in your mind.
Let's backtrack. At that point, I am focused on the show coming up. So after that show, I do my next shows in December.
So you got all that time to prepare.
Which is with now Mark Banks, Regis Dicha, Joey Rasdeen.
Casual.
That's my third show.
Casual.
And it's in the city hall in this big like whatever. So that's 3 shows, 2006, or 3 like things. Now,
I mean, those are still better shows than most of us have done like since.
Yeah, but this is crazy. I don't know how comedy works at that point. So I write new sets
for each one,
for every event, brand new.
But I think a lot of people do that when they start out. Like I did that when I started. I know like quite a few people, like even now they do that. They come with a whole new set the second time they do comedy at Underground. You're like, no, work on the stuff you have. Like, you know, but anyway, sorry, carry on. So you were writing.
But I'm spending days and days for my 10 minutes or whatever, 8 minutes.
But did you know what was good?
I'm spending days and days. No, I'll tell you what happened is, I'd never really attended much. I didn't really attend comedy. I attended one show where I sat in the front, Mark Banks and Riyad Musa and David Cow.
But had you watched it on TV?
The only reference I had in my mind was Comedy Showcase. It was a TV show. They played on a Sunday night. Stuart Taylor and Kurt Skunrad.
So it's South African stuff.
South Africa, which I think they were only 1 year in too at the time. And they were already on TV.
Yeah, some guys are probably pretty lucky that they were just there
early. They became famous
like,
really quick.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you also had that situation happen for you that like there weren't a lot of comedians at the time and you were good at it off the bat. So
yeah, so Paul, what happened was I found myself working really hard at my 8 minutes that was coming up, like for the weeks. And I don't know how you prepare, but I was going through the jokes in the mirror the whole day.
Yeah, when I started, I used to do that.
Going through the rhythm, finding it, telling it back to myself, writing it down physically. I always find writing is a good thing, even though I don't write much anymore. I find that writing process was critical in the beginning,
especially on paper. Like
on
definitely make
physical
a big difference.
paper. And cool. And then I wrote that, and then I would go and do it. And I remember I came off stage at the City Hall. Apparently, I took forever. And went backstage, and Joey Rasdeen. This is only my 3rd show. Joey Rasdeen says to me, "You must do a 1-man show, like you know, like a swipe, like you know, like a
because you're taking like
which I don't understand. Which I don't understand, like the comedy, like colloquialisms and the in-house niche.
You've only done this 3
times.
times.
It's only my 3rd time. And he's saying I'm going to do a 1-man show. I'm thinking, yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, shit.
So anyway, this is fascinating. But so those shows, though, were also the reason I stopped comedy.
You stopped comedy?
Yeah.
Because so you were also a journalist at this time, or were you?
Yes, I was a journalist. But I was also very conservative, religious.
Yeah.
So the environment I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah, because the comedy environment, if you don't know, is kind of sinful. Like,
if you
you don't have to partake in everything, but you're around a lot of stuff. Like, you know, people drink like no matter what. Like that's just standard. But then there is all the other bullshit around it, and like
yeah.
So I understand. Like, I mean, you know, for some Muslim guys, it's hard to come to the Winston.
At the time.
So like for some Christian guys, for some Muslim guys, it is harder to like come into like, you know, this den of iniquity type shit.
Yeah, I'm 22. I'm young. I got my religious like views that I've held my whole life up until
like
22.
And you were like really like stringent on them, like you.
Yeah. I was quite strong on it. And I just decided that, nah, I'm going to take a break. And so that's what I did. I took a break. And then every now and then I'd get a hey, come here and do something. And then something interesting happened. Richelieu Benoit
Yeah.
came to my house. We both lived in Newlands East. He came to my house and he says to me, he wants to be a comedian. And I was like, yo, dog.
Because you were the only guy he knew.
Yeah, I'm the only
done
guy.
It before.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, well, we can get it. Let's get it. And then we started pulling together the show. I said, I got a friend who's really funny.
You want another one?
Who's really funny. Timothy Williams. I grew up with him. Very good at impersonating. We used to do that together. I'm gonna get him involved. And got another friend is funny. I get him involved. And then Timothy Williams comes in. The other guy drops out. And then Richard says, "Oh, there's this guy. He's a weird guy. He's a Zulu guy. Was raised by Indian people. Almost like he was raised by wolves, kind of vibe." And his name's Senzo Mtetwa, and he really wants to give this a go. So I said, "Cool." And I get an inbox from a guy that I knew. His mom was my teacher, saying, "Hey, listen, I got a friend he really wants to try stand up, so I'm getting a hold of you to kind of see if maybe you can
help him out."
Yeah. So I said, "Cool, what's his name?" He says, "No, his name's Neil Green, and he really wants to give this a go."
So you've kind of, in a weird way, been like this, like orphan father, like even from the get-go.
I was a kid myself, child parent. So cool, get in contact with Neil, tell him when it's gonna happen. A friend, I used to rap back then. So,
yes, I remember this. Yeah,
I was a Christian rapper. So the dude that I used to roll with was a group called Spin the Flavor.
Spin the Flavor.
Yeah, Clint from Westville, and there's dudes from Marion region, that group, and we had our own little thing. Me and my friends from Newlands, so we all hang out together. And then I said to Clint, "Hey Clint, bro, listen, I need to do the show. You know how to talk to people, like, you know, I don't know if it's organized venue." Clint's like, "No problem." He lives in Westville. He goes to Twisted Lemon, a little bar there.
I remember Twisted Lemon. Oh God.
So we go to Twisted Lemon. There's a guy named Brad. That's the manager.
Of course.
Of course, Brad's the manager.
Like, you go to any bar like in Westville or Hillcrest, and the manager's name is Brad. I don't care.
Brad. Oh, the guy actually contacted me recently. It was like,
is he doing another thing?
Nah, just no. He lives somewhere in the world. Saying, "Oh man, remember that time we had a Twisted Lemon?" And so he agrees. We put together a show for $30. Richelieu says, "Let's call it Laughing Stock." I don't care at that point.
Laughing Stock still exists.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care what it's called. Richelieu says he'll host. I was like, "But it's your first time." He's like, No, he wants to host. I was like, "Cool, I don't mind." So we get there and we do the show. And people come, man. Richelieu did this amazing. I got a shock. I walk in that room and it's just full of people. And I was like, wow, this is about to happen. And it's.
Were you nervous because like of the inexperience of everyone else? Or like
because I thought there was a little bit more expectation on me, because those run-up shows had newspaper coverage and whatever, and there was big billboards and what's those moving vans with those like.
Yeah, I get what you're talking about.
So there was a lot of marketing. So people still thought I was a comedian legit.
And so that actually that pressure got to you a little bit, like
on the night of Twisted Lemon. I'll tell you what happened on the night. Richelieu was, in football they say unplayable.
Yeah.
For like a guy who did it his first time, he was just yo. You know, he started off hosting and he kind of never left hosting his whole career.
Yeah, he's a good host, yeah.
But like the first time off the bat, he didn't do like a 5, I don't do comedy. His first thing was hosting. And then he went up and then Timothy Williams, good friend of mine from childhood, went up and just stole the night with like this amazing 7 minutes of just yo.
Did that give you relief, or like did it challenge you?
A bit of pressure, yeah. I knew he's funny though. Him and I have been friends since we were kids, so he was very good at doing like impersonations or whatever. And then Senzo, just first time, just like, whew, also amazing. And then Neil was the wild card. I don't know what to expect. I don't know much about him. And Neil had like dreadlockies.
I've seen photos. Yeah,
he had like dreadlocks. And he had this like a Mandela shirt. and very nice. Like just the sweetest human being from day one, Neil Green. Neil Green gets up and he does this this joke about Norox,
The stock.
Yeah, the stock, and I can still see the guy Bo laughing, and he got the Norox, and like the room was just. They weren't ready for Neil Green at that point.
Was it just too esoteric, like too weird?
Yeah, Neil was already ahead of us in a weird way.
That's what I love about Neil is like he's learned to like actually make it work now. Like,
Yeah.
but his stuff is weird, man. His stuff like the structure even like of his jokes.
He was ahead of
he
us
fucks with
already.
it, man.
Yeah, and at the time it didn't seem like it, but in retrospect, he was ahead of us. Even though I'd been doing it
A bit longer.
Yeah, he was ahead, and he bombed so badly that he didn't welcome back the host. He called me on to headline. Please welcome on stage.
Was he just like Carvin saved me? Like?
Yeah. And then I went up, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm not proud of that night. There's lots of moments in that night that I'm just like, what was going on here? There's actually a video of that night.
Oh, have you seen it? Like, have you
Oh
watched
yeah,
it?
many times. I think it's on YouTube even. And
Wow.
that's insane. I know.
Like I would never let that stuff like be
Yeah,
out there.
it
Like my early
exists.
stuff, like I'm still because I'm in that weird space of like, but I guess it's just my own insecurities, and I guess that's the thing that other people have like that I don't. Like that's just security and like what they're doing. They're like, I'm funny. I know I'm funny. Here comes the shit. Look at how funny I am. Whereas I'm like, I think I'm funny, but I don't know if everyone else does. So it's like that weird like balance.
Yeah.
So fuck, like to have like my early stuff, I would just be mortified because
Yeah. I wouldn't even. Oh, never mind.
because you're not like as funny as you are when you start. Like you're still not going to be as funny as you are later on because once you start learning the thing, you start getting better at it.
Yeah, you learn timing. Timing is probably the biggest trick to learn. Yeah, bruh, just like the beginning of something. Now, just before that, I bumped into Glenn Bow.
Yeah, who like started comedy at the Winston.
Yeah, no.
Who started comedy at the Winston?
Glenn started at Thunder Road Diner.
Yes, Thunder Road Rock Diner that used to be on Florida Road here.
Yes, on the corner.
Yeah.
Thunder Road Rock, and Glenn had invited me to come there. So so before Laughing Stock, there was a show I did with Glenn. And that it was the first show for Little Paul Cohen.
Paul Cowan, yeah.
Yeah, but it was Little Paul at the time.
Yeah.
There's another dude, I forget his name.
Around that time. I can't-
Yeah,
Not Dusty.
No, it's too early for Dusty. Dave Thompson.
Okay.
I think he was like a burn owner or
That would be Dave Campbell.
Dave Campbell.
Okay,
Campbell.
yeah.
It was Dave Campbell. That's the dude. And
I didn't know he tried comedy.
Yeah, he did. He was horrible. Paul Cohen. I was like, yeah,
There's something there.
yeah, definitely. It was so cool. Glenbow and myself, and there was a new world of comedy. It was dark. I saw people with shirts with a bus. You know where the sign says Durban on the top of the bus? It said hell. It was the craziest.
Those are my people.
I couldn't believe. Rishnu actually came to that show. That's where he kind of also you were so interested in comedy. And then so what happened was the guy started posting pictures, and then someone wrote, "Why would you open a comedy show in Durban when there's already one?" Referring to the Thunder Road Diner show.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So who wrote this? You don't know.
I'm gonna say it's Glenn. I'm gonna go out to the limb and say it's Glenn.
It might be. That's a Glenn boy back in the day. Might have done that. Yeah.
The person never said the name wasn't Glenn, but I'm gonna say it's Glenn, or it's someone associated to what Glenn was doing.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I was like, there's like Durban tension from the start.
There can't be two comedy gigs
There
in
can't be
Durban.
two comedy gigs in Durban. Tension from the start. Why would you organize one when there's already one? And I remember still trying to defend it in the posts. Like, I wish I could find those posts. Probably delete it off Facebook or whatever. I've changed my profile.
Yeah,
and like
same.
trying to defend it. Oh no, it's a different market. This is so ridiculous now. Yeah, but anyway, so there we were, bruh. Beginning of things, bruh. The things was happening, and then I was having my own moral crisis, bruh, with this comedy thing. And then Laughing Stock really was gonna take off and move into the Seabrooks Theatre, and at this point I was now completely out because I didn't swear, right?
Yep.
And the swearing was so intense that I was like, yeah, I really don't want to be here.
Did that bug you? Like just hearing people
Bugged me
swear?
to a point where I left.
Fuck.
I retired.
Sorry.
I stopped. No, it's cool, man. I'm over that. I stopped. I was like, nah, this world is not for me, and I left. And that was that. And Richie came to see me at my house, saying, please, bro, come back. We got some other people involved. They had recruited, Neil had recruited his friend Grayson.
So early on, like Richelieu was kind of like the organizer of
Oh
things.
yeah, Richelieu was the organizer. Richelieu and Sean were everything, bro. I wasn't involved in organizing those shows. The building of the colored market was all Richelieu. Prior to him, there was no colored market in Durban. Or colored people attending, accessing shows.
Because it's weird, because it seems like coming into comedy now, you would assume like, you know, that market's just always been there and
Nah.
that. But like someone had to create
Richelieu
it.
was the dude who really mined and made that market. Made that market a thing.
And the thing is, colored people do support like
Comedy.
their own, like
Yeah.
and like comedy. But
Well,
like,
colored people will attend all comedy.
yeah. Well, to
they-
be honest, I perform to colored people more than I perform to white people.
Yeah, they'll attend
By
all comedy.
a long margin. Like in Durban especially, like
Yeah.
colored people and Indian people come to comedy shows a hell of a lot. Well,
Yeah.
especially across
Yeah.
across cultural boundaries.
No, cross-cultural boundaries for that. That's correct. And I knew come back. I was be like, Richelieu, you guys carry on, man. I'm gonna focus on my journalism and be a great journalist.
And you were a great journalist. I actually want to get into that for a little bit just now.
And you guys carry on. And I was completely like convinced it's not gonna happen. And he said to me, okay, let's do this. We'll do a show where none of us are gonna swear. Imagine.
No swearing.
No. Richelieu was like, we'll do a show where none of us are gonna swear. No swearing. I never thought of that. And I said, okay, maybe. I mean, I was like, and I was thinking, should I come back? Should I not come back? Should I come back? Should I not come back? Should I come back? Should I not come back?
So, do you think he was doing the show for you or for the market?
He's doing show for me. Richelieu was determined to do this comedy thing with me because that's how it started. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you dancing through Brung, yeah?
Yeah. And so what I said, I'll come have a look and come watch one of the days just to see what's the vibe. So I got there, and when I got there, I realized I'd been away for so long that everyone was streets ahead of me in terms of comedy.
Did that light a fire under you?
Absolutely. I watched Neil, Grayson, Richelieu, and I was like, Wayne, Tim, I was like, and I couldn't believe how good they had got so quick. But in the space of a year, they were rip-roaring funny.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, doing the thing, you know, gets you there. At the end of the day, the more you do it, the better you get. The more you practice it.
You must understand they were doing a show every 2 weeks or every month?
Yeah, that's still more than you were doing.
2 shows a week. No, 2 shows a month.
A month, yeah.
You know, Friday,
Plus
Saturday.
practicing in the mirror.
And Neil had these jokes, bruh. Yo!
But I can see Neil like sitting down and like analyzing what went wrong, like with the first time.
I was shocked. I even said to Richelieu, because Richelieu still said to me, oh, me and Green, no, Green's back. Actually, he's back after what happened at Twisted Lemon. And nah, what? Richelieu was critical, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Because after Twisted Lemon, Neil sent me a message. Hey, bro, thanks for the chance. I'm sorry the way it went, kind of vibe. I don't think, this is something I've always wondered about, and I'm sorry that it went that way, but I don't think I'm ready to let go of it yet.
Yep.
But right now, I'm just going to step back. So when I heard that he was back and he was in the swing, I was like, oh. And then I got there and I was like, whoa.
That happens sometimes.
I was amazed. I bumped into Arnold Payne around that time. And then
Okay.
Arnold
and
Payne,
was he had been doing it on his own for a while? How
Arnold
did he
Payne was a
know-
Christian MC.
Yeah.
Clown, proper clown.
Yeah.
He's the community. He's a dude at school that everyone like. There's the funny dude coming.
Okay.
He's old school, funny, like community funny king.
Okay, cool.
You can ask anyone. Ask Neil. He'll tell
Yeah,
you
that's the thing, because
Honor
I didn't really know him, but he's so famous. Like,
Honor Payne was the dude. And then Honor Payne contacted me and said, hey, his name's Honor. Do you want to do a show with me? Blah, blah, blah. And then I was now, he was a Christian guy. And I was like, okay, this makes a bit more sense. Yeah, let's figure this out. So we kind of reformed with new acts in a Christian space. So him.
So taking your Christian rap thing and bringing it into comedy.
Yeah, like almost no, taking the comedy thing and bringing it to church rather, because we're taking the laughing stock sort of twisted lemon
Just
moment.
Bring it there, yeah.
And we're gonna now take it into this space. Timothy Williams, who was in Laughing Stock, was also in the same church as me. So we already had one dude. On Payne wanted to jump on for this was basically his first full-on comedy gig. He was a funny dude. He did funny things, but not.
But he hadn't done like.
But he wasn't a comedian, full on. And then I got Jedial Bauer, who was 12 or 13 years old.
I was gonna say what, like, because I remember him starting comedy. I thought like way later than that. So damn, what happened with him?
He was like 12, 13. He was in church with us too. He was from our church, and he was essentially. His mother and my mother were essentially like best friends.
Okay.
So I was like, cool. He's a funny kid. I still like him. Funny kid, take him with us. And so we used to put him on stage and he used to just talk.
Oh damn! Like I didn't know that. Like I thought he started like.
Nah. Jedial's there from when he was like 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. We used to roll.
You're gonna write the book on like all of this one day, man.
Nah, maybe, bro. So we did this thing. We formed this Christian space. On it, off the bat, immediate hit. Like just people were like, "Whoa!" Because Honet's extremely talented.
Yeah.
Sing, voice.
He can do it all.
Yeah, timing is very good. And then what happened was, I was still technically retired. But Onet and Jedial, I think Onet, not so much Jedial, Onet had now had crossed over into the laughing stock space. So he was working in that space. I still wasn't working in the general comedy space.
Yeah.
And then this is 2007. Imagine the next time I would get on stage after that was June 2008.
So like a full year a bit later.
Almost,
basically.
yeah, like a long time. Not a full year, maybe about 9 months. But previous to that, I was out for another 3-4 months.
But then
like an injury, like a.
But was that because of just lack of gigs or?
No,
lack of
I was not in. I
in.
didn't want to be a comedian in a
so-
swearing industry.
But then you were a journalist at this time.
I was a journalist, so I was focusing on my journalism.
Why did you get into journalism? Like, what about it was so appealing to you?
So at school, I wanted to be an actor of sorts.
Okay.
I wanted to be someone who acted.
So did you want to act as a journalist?
Nah. So I couldn't study drama because drama wasn't like something you could do. But I figured if I studied journalism, I was close enough to media that if I never got the chance to be on stage or on screen, I would still have a job
in the industry
that involved talking or writing. But anyway,
so did you want
writing.
to do mostly entertainment stuff?
It was going to be not entertainment. I wanted to be just. When I got into college, I wanted to just be a journalist.
Okay. Which college did you go to?
So I went to Natal Tech.
Natal Tech.
Yeah, that's how old I am.
Natal Technicon, yeah.
And that was a mind bender. I was 16 when I started my national diploma in journalism. I was a kid. I was really a kid. And I remember the first dude I met was Zayn Nabi.
Okay, I don't think I know.
He was an Indian dude who was white, like in every way. I was absolutely fascinated. I never had a white friend in my life. And
so your first white friend was Indian?
Was actually an Indian dude.
Okay.
He's like, oh, bro, you're gonna burn. It's sarin gas is awesome, man. Sarin gas, like stuff like a world I didn't know.
Oh, good reference.
Gonna go to splashy fin, like just things like. It was just like totally. What was the word he used to say?
Totally radical.
It wasn't totally. It was anyway. and he had this way with white people that it was just fascinating to me.
Like just fit it in.
Yeah. And one day when we were older, I asked him, "How do you do it?" And he explained to me. He says, "No, I talk their language. I talk rugby. I talk the music." Nicolette Lotta was in the band. She studied with us at the college. She was in Southern Gas as a bassist.
Okay.
And she eventually went on to be infamous rather, as we were all friends.
And what did she do?
She killed her parents in the Westville case.
Oh snap! Okay, I had no idea about that.
That's a bizarre story. I was sitting at my desk when I was a journalist at Independent Saturday, and this case had happened, but it never occurred to me because we called her Nikki. And the story about this children of Hardus and Nicolette, and I was sitting one day and looking at the screen, on the pages before they go for print, you proofread them.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the picture, and there's a picture of her looking into the lens, so obviously looking into my face.
Yeah. So
And I'm just staring at it, thinking of some other stuff, and she jumped out, and I was like, "Oh, it's Nikki! It's Nikki from college."
Fuck, and
it's Nikki.
How many? I mean, that's the thing that happens a lot.
Zakes Mantwini and all of them were at that college.
Zakes Mantwini was what the.
There was another dude, Merlin. Merlin is also a famous musician. We used to be I didn't know.
So this was a college of just people that became famous.
Yeah, like Zayn.
Technicon, like Natal Tech.
Yeah, it was pretty.
But I mean, there weren't a lot of colleges at the time though, so that does.
There was loads.
Really?
It was gang colleges back then.
Okay,
it was just a coincidence. Our college had music, fine arts. Kurt was there too. Kurt Wilson was studying fine arts same year.
Oh snap!
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know Kurt was that old, but cool.
Yeah, Kurt's dad and my dad are actually best friends.
You're so good with remembering people and and also with
Kurt was
in the
weird
community,
even back then, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but some people
he's
are.
not
That's
weird
cool.
now.
Really?
No, he's not weird.
Dude,
to me, he was weird back then.
I was fucking weird in school. I was school shooter vibes, fully, and I hated everyone and everyone hated me, and I definitely.
I find that so bizarre because when I think of your first gig, I think of a room full of people who were there to see Bob Perfect. So.
Yeah, and that was because I gained friends from being an outlandish human being within a scene that accepted that.
I thought you were really popular. I was like, oh, they came to see this popular kid.
I was fairly within the music scene. I was fairly popular, and I helped because of Durban Is Yours, and I put on gigs and stuff, and I attended gigs religiously, because I found my family essentially, because that's the thing. In school I was hated, and no one liked me, no one, and I was such an outcast that eventually I found the Winston and I found Burn, and I found people there who kind of got me, and that was just the end. And then within that scene I thrived, because I was so passionate about it, and my passion was contagious, I guess. People people didn't like me as well as people really liked me because of the stuff I would do.
Was comedy good or bad for you then?
Pardon?
Was comedy good or bad?
For me, good. I love I am really frustrated with the music scene and with my role in all of it, and
you've had lots of fights with East Coast Radio.
Yeah, I mean, but that's whatever. It's more the actual personal stuff that I'm just kind of over, and just on the ground. I'm much happier to be a part of the comedy scene, to be a comedian as well. I feel this is what I really want to do more and more. Is I love communicating with people. I just struggle with getting my points across in a way that most people can get them, or I've never focused on that as much, I guess. Back in the day, I didn't care if you got it. It was take it or leave it. And now it's more about figuring out.
You're more empathetic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure you can see that. And that's been a struggle for me, actually, within my comedy.
It's interesting because when I first saw you, I was still very, deeply religious. And your stuff was very religious.
Yeah.
Now, this is an interesting thing because you once asked me, I don't know if you remember, when you do the religious stuff, you asked me specifically, how do I feel about it?
Yeah.
And I remember how unsettled I was by the question because I felt as if I say to you that I find it offensive, that I'm not being comedically cool, you know what I'm saying? But at the time, I was like, I wouldn't be able to roll with someone who did gags like that.
Like that, yeah. That's the thing that Neil even has trouble with sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because when I remember being religious, I was within the vibe, and yeah, you get.
Because you were also happy, like clappy at some points.
Yeah, like in my teen years, like
We
I
had that
found God.
conversation.
Yeah, and so
You were angry about it though, because
very.
you.
I felt lied to. I felt like, yeah, because I mean, also I'd found like a father and like, you know, I'd found community, like I guess before music and stuff like that, but kind of at the same time of me finding the music scene, I found church and God, and so, you know, I had community and family and stuff like that.
How do you reconcile those feelings of of finding something now with knowing that it was nothing,
It wasn't nothing.
or suspecting that it was nothing?
The thing is, it wasn't nothing. Like, those experiences were real that I had, you know, they were real for me, and there was a lot that I learned. And there is stuff within religion that's, you know, general principles of life that are pretty good to live by and stuff like that. I just hate the structures of it all. I hate the scam, like, of it all, you know, like, I just also hate that it's not, like, real, like, to me, and to a lot of people more and more, they're starting to get there. So so that's the thing, you know, you feel lied to when you go, because I was Christian and I was atheist, and then I was Christian and then I was atheist, and I've been atheist the whole time. And
You settled. This is it.
yeah, I mean, I'm not even like I'm fucking done with, like, I'm done with the question even, you know, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
which is why I don't even
understand.
really do
don't
religious
push it
material anymore.
Do you think that the whole thing of like swearing God and like calling it out is part of your convincing of yourself further?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah?
that was really, like, a lot of that was for me. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I get that. That's why I don't do it anymore, you know? Like, I don't get as much. And also, it was to rile people up, you know? It was to intentionally push those buttons and, like, to try and convince people of my side, but in a very mean way. Like,
How did you get past that?
like, I don't know. It just took a lot of time, I guess. And also just
Does it-
delving into it. And
Do you
also
feel like it
just-
doesn't matter
What? Like,
whether they believe or not believe?
other people, like, not so much, but at the same time, if those beliefs then start having an impact on the way they treat other people negatively, then yeah, like, that's my biggest issue with it, is like there are dangerous ideas within religion.
So
But
if
there are
they're
dangerous
cool,
ideas
you're cool.
everywhere. Yeah, like, but that's also the thing, is more and more of my friends are like, as I grew older, like, are religious, and, you know, it's weird, like, I guess my Muslim friends made me more accepting of Christianity, because I'm way more accepting of, like, my Muslim friends, but I was so against Christianity because I was Christian, so yeah. So I had that whole thing, like, you know, hanging with guys like Simi and that, and like and then also just learning more, reading more, like, but I went fully atheist, and like I was even Islamophobic for a while, and then like because of like reading stuff like Sam Harris's book and like, you know, the Muslim menace, and like, but then you just start seeing people for who they are, not their ideologies.
Case by case.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not about the greater ideology, it's very much about who someone is individually. But I do worry about their ideology sometimes, and like how it can be used against them, and how it can be used against me and everyone else. But anyway, we're getting way too much into my own stuff. But in terms of your, like, I guess we can then segue into your religious, like,
Yeah.
what changed there? Because you were so religious, it was such a part of your, like, identity.
Yeah.
I knew you as, you know, like,
A
and
religious man.
exactly that I would ask you, like,
That you'd ask me that question. How
yeah,
do you feel
because
about
you were
this?
the most, like, it's weird because Neil's kind of, you know, wasn't the person who I'd expect to be religious
But
at
he's
that
probably
time.
more religious than I am.
Exactly. So, but you were someone within the
That is
community
so
at the
weird,
time that,
yeah.
like, yeah, because also at the same time, as much as I want to, like, I've always wanted to pick at scabs, I don't necessarily want to hurt the people, like, you know, for real, like, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
So,
You want to pick up the ideology.
yeah, but there were some mean things that I would say and do, and like I've tried to like get rid of that as much as possible.
Yeah, so my own journey involves questioning. So I grew up in a very conservative setup, from mother, father, all from the same community, working in the same community. My father's a taxi driver in Newlands. My mother's a teacher in Newlands.
So community.
There's no
for
reason to
sure.
leave. We're living there, we're churching there, and so I think from quite a young age, I started asking myself, what's the chances that I was born into the right religion, into the right version of the right religion?
This is a question that even me within that like sphere, like,
Yeah, so I was like,
because my mom was like,
this is
religious.
crazy. What's the chances? Like, really? Like, this one church we go to, this is the right
Has it
one?
correct, yeah.
That is so fortunate. I am so fortunate. So I was in Sunday school till I was in matric because I'm a bit of a Bible nerd.
Yeah.
I spent most of my childhood into my teens.
It's a fascinating book, especially when you're younger. Like, it's so,
Yes.
because it's, mythical. Like, and
Yeah, well, in my case, I was doing a lot of additional reading around it.
Yeah.
So, situations in which the stories were written, characters.
Yeah, you see, because I've got my matric in Bible studies, so, I've done all of this as well.
Exegesis. And I was really, into it. I went to Bible school afterwards, too, just to kind of missionary Bible school, because I wanted to,
you want to get into actually being a pastor?
No, I didn't really think I'd be a pastor, but I was fascinated with understanding it.
Okay.
There was so many questions, and I came from a home. My father is a man who was he was a bit of a rebel, a bit of a challenging figure. Spoke to power all the time at church.
So you didn't just go along with what was being said?
No, he was a problem within the system. He was a huge problem.
I was one of those.
Yeah, and had a huge following, if I can call it, or support base. People loved him.
So he was a community leader.
People loved him partly because he would challenge things all the time. He was not like someone who would lie down. So I grew up in this challenging environment. People would be at the house.
We'll actually get into that just now.
Pastors, whatever, they would just be challenging. He'd challenge ideas of why must we take our hats off and things like that. Why must I wear a tie? He was like you'd pick at it all the time, all the little bits, and say question everything.
The shitty rules that don't need to be there.
Yeah, and his saying used to be think and do the right thing. What you must do when you were naughty, you must think and do the right thing.
So do you think your morality comes from him?
No, my morality doesn't come from him. My morality comes from my mother. Okay. She's the one who kind of really followed it to the T. My father, probably by her standards, was not moral enough.
Oh, is it?
Because he listened. My father's a huge Marvin Gaye, Sam Cooke fan.
Okay.
The worldly music. We had gang worldly music.
Okay, I get you.
Through my father. My father was one who said, "No, let them go to movies." My mother, "No, they mustn't go to movies.
It'll taint them."
No, my father grew up in an orphanage.
Okay.
So, and then from the orphanage went into foster care. But he always talks about growing up in the streets because I suppose in that world where you grow up in a foster care, it's one of those. It's not really a home kind of vibe. So he spent a lot of time in the streets.
Yeah.
All his friends he knew from the streets. He had all these homeboys that he grew up with. So he even though he became a Christian, his world was a lot wider than my mother's, I guess. So he was always open to us being exposed to stuff, and I think that's where my spirit of protest is definitely from observation of him.
Okay. So your spirit of protest from him and your moral codes from your mom.
Definitely, yeah. My father is. My father, you must know, in the colored community, supporting the ANC was a look down on thing because remember.
Really?
Yeah, because the idea was that the apartheid government gave colored people a bit more than black people. Yeah. So they want, as long as they didn't treat us like blacks, they're not so bad. And they taught them that they were better somehow, so they could be closer to them, to whiteness than to blackness, right? Divide them and unite them closer to us. But my father was quite a vocal ANC supporter. My mother supported the Democratic Party and then the ACDP. My father used to wear free Nelson Mandela shirts,
just openly.
And in the colored community, that back then that was not like a thing. And I remember the one day at home, he had this Mandela shirt on. My mother just lost it. How can you wear this man's shirt? This man's a terrorist.
Oh wow!
It was like full on. My parents have changed so much over the years. I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, is he a terrorist?"
Oh man,
that was a common idea back in our communities.
Just amongst many communities, because that's what the media
was a
here
common
reported.
idea. Yeah,
I mean that was the whole.
Full on. My father was like, and even in a church, he talked politics because he used to preach.
Yep.
He talked politics, and people used to get mad.
I didn't come here for this.
I come here for this, exactly. He used to talk politics like crazy. And so I think like observing him as a human. Also, he was very, and he still is. He's one of those people that when he speaks, everyone keeps quiet. I'm talking about in the circle.
You're fairly similar to that.
You
hold space like
he held space like you won't believe. And he's way more measured in his speech than I am.
Yeah.
He had his voice. What must happen? And his pauses. He has these big pregnant pauses.
So you listen.
If you look at the way the world is formed, everyone is just now. What has Lawrence got to say?
I mean, that is the classic orator technique. I mean, you listen to Mandela, you listen to Barack Obama. Yeah.
But it's crazy because he had that within his locker naturally. That's how he spoke all the time.
And that's how he commanded attention.
Yes, I'm just actually reliving some of those many times I heard him speak. And so even my sense of humor, my approach, even when I speak on stage, I almost have to stop in the moment because I can hear him talking. It's so weird.
You hear it like him through you.
I can hear him. I can hear his delivery and his mannerisms coming through. And
because he had the timing.
For my mother and my sister, for them, I'm morphing into him in more ways than they.
Even because you're being belligerent and like.
I'm also big too, like him now.
Okay, they go in the community, yeah.
Yeah, big bodied.
Yeah. Yo, damn man, that is. Like, I wish I had more time, like, to just chat to you about at length about this. But I guess we got to get into like the modern era, and you would have had a big weekend this weekend, had things, gone, I don't know, just well, I guess. Although things, according to most people, would be that things went really well for you this weekend. You just won 2 awards at the Savannah Comics Choice Awards. How are you feeling about that, man?
Yeah, so it's probably been the most mixed I've felt about comedy in a while, since maybe retiring.
Yeah, since retiring the first 2 times.
Yeah. So since retiring the first 2 times, there was purely mixed feelings. I found something, imagine I'm good at it off the bat, but it doesn't agree with who I am as a human being.
With your principles, yeah.
So I go with the principles. This is a little similar.
Yeah.
Winning an award is it's an amazing thing.
It's something you care about. You've worked towards
the conditions in which it happens disagrees with my principle or my standpoint in this particular matter. So when I was nominated and when I realized that some of the nominations needed questioning, and which I of course did.
Yeah. Being
Lawrence Goldstone's son, how would I let that go? It's so funny. If you ever read the posts that when I talk about this Comics Choice, a lot of people say, your father. This is Lawrence's son, because they all think they know exactly what he's like. And so the principles of it led to me questioning it, and the outcome of that was going to be that we got an audit of the nominations or the process,
because
which I was questioning.
One of the other people in the things submitted, and according to the guidelines probably shouldn't be there, but there's ambiguity in the way that everything's set up, so you wanted an audit to just go, what is the truth here, who is actually allowed to be in this thing.
There was an impasse. We couldn't reach a general consensus. As much as they claimed there was a general consensus, there wasn't.
No. Well, we know this because publicly people have been
because publicly people are like, no, this is not the case. So because the rules weren't clearly defined, and that's what happens when you organize your own things, you got blind spots.
Exactly. You need to hire people to actually set things up
who've
correctly.
Done this before, especially because they know what the potential pitfalls are. And this was a huge pitfall, which none of us actually, even myself, retrospectively, I never anticipated it. It's only when it happened that we realized we had a problem.
Exactly.
And so the only way to really fix it was to have an independent eye look at it and say yes or no. And the Comics Choice Awards, the Savannah Comics Choice Awards, promised us a look into it and an audit being commissioned.
And this was back on the 18th of July.
The 18th of July. So we knew that I knew the awards was on the 8th of September. Back before 18th of July, I asked them.
And that's plenty of time to get an audit done.
And I said to them, look, why don't you postpone the awards? until you sort this out. We look at the nominations again, and they were like, no, there's a lot of media and whatever coverage. All right, cool.
But you think that was the issue for them, was like all the media spend, all the...
Like for me, the whole thing with Comic Choices, everything is back to front. How much would this audit have cost? That was a priority because it's actually about awards. But they're more interested in like the tubers and who's gonna play the triangle at the events.
Getting the most marketing budgets out of it.
Like how it's good. I'm like
marketing money out of it.
That's not the most important thing. Is the actual awards, guys.
Yeah, the integrity of the awards.
Yeah,
and that's I mean, I'm not a big awards guy in general. Like
and I am.
Yeah, but with these awards in particular, I've just always had the issue of you can't really, like, if you're a comedy management company, you can't be giving awards to comedians. Like, I struggle with that. There's a clear conflict of interest there, and this is where the conflict of interest has come in now, because the artist in question belongs to the comedy management company throwing the awards. So this is like just now, for me, the conflict, like, it conflates everything. That's like, what's the worst that can happen? Well, that's kind of the worst that can happen.
That's the worst thing that can happen. But also, we as comedians can't decide that that's the worst that can happen, because we have also our own issues.
Yeah, personal stuff that's happened over the years.
The call was for an independent eye to say, hey guys, this is not a problem, or this is the worst thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
But if we got that voice, I would have been at the awards on Saturday, and I would have done the walk if I won. Because
it's your like fellow comedians.
Yeah, this is about
the industry.
Yeah, the industry's saying, hey Carvin, we saw you this year. And yeah, man, go get it, bro.
And it's probably awards you should have got last year, so it's quite nice that you're getting them this year.
This is your award, bro. You inspired us, whatever the case is, or we thought you were funny. I don't even think the award's really about funniness anymore.
No.
I think it's just about, I don't know. I think it's a combination of things. It's not really about funny, like were you the funniest guy? No.
Because it's hard to judge who's the funniest.
Yeah, I don't think it's about that.
Yeah, so it's roles in the community. It's who's got the biggest visibility. Who's like, that's
how good is your PR game?
Exactly.
So the awards, I didn't attend, and
did that hurt? Like to not go to?
I must be honest, it didn't.
Okay.
I felt conflicted on the night of after, like everything had settled and I was at home.
Be like, should I have gone? Should I have not? Like,
yeah. Then I'm in this moment of what was the better way to sort this out? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, no, if I'd gone,
you're endorsing it.
Yeah, I'm endorsing, and if I'd won, what would I have done when I received the award? Would I have waved and pretended like I hadn't had a long say?
It puts yourself in an awkward position. Do you have your long say? Like, do you Kanye it? Like,
yeah, or do I have the say? Do I spoil it? Do I sour the event?
Yeah.
Because for a lot of comics, it meant a lot.
Yeah.
And I have to respect that.
That's the thing that I always like struggle with as well, is when I give my criticism, it's like I know a lot of people are also like super invested in it. So I hope I don't hurt people when I'm like, awards are meaningless.
Yeah, I think having not gone, I don't know how the CCA feels about it, but
have they not contacted you?
Well, I've got an awkward relationship with the owners of the awards.
Yeah,
and it's got history. But if we just wrap it into this period, my issue with them and communication is I've never had communication with them where I felt I could trust them. Private communication.
Yeah, fair enough.
And it's based on one of the first communications where they wrote a letter about our communication.
Yep.
Where they painted me in a certain way, and I was like, well, this is never going to happen again, because we will have the communication publicly and let everyone else decide if I attacked you or I was nasty to you, because that is subjective to you. So you can't tell all of us that that's what happened. Let us decide. And I won't have private conversations with them. They requested in the week of the show to fly me up to show me what's the situation and how it works,
but without it doing an audit.
And I said to them, and this is my message: the only time I will have a conversation with you is when you have an audit. I will not have private conversations with you. So unless you have an audit, please do not contact me for private meetings. That was and the person laughed at the message on Wednesday. And I was like, well, if you think it's a joke, let's see what happens on Saturday.
I wonder how they feel about all of this. Like,
I think you should get them on the podcast, Bob.
yeah, if they ever want to come down to Durban, I'd love to be completely honest. I mean, I'd dig to chat to John for a million different reasons. Like, I do have some respect for the guy, like, as much as I'm critical of, like, a lot of it. Like, I still can recognize a lot of good that they have done. But, yeah, there are issues that I have but that's also just my moral code and the way I see the world. So it would be very cool to chat to them eventually.
So I haven't accepted the awards.
Yeah.
Titsi Chumia, friend of mine, took
Went
it upon
up.
himself.
So he got 3 awards that night.
Yeah, he's getting 3 awards. And in retrospect, I'm grateful he did that to kind of save the situation.
Yeah, because it was going to be awkward if no one
it's
did.
going to be a big talking
And you
point.
didn't speak to anyone about it before?
No, I didn't tell anyone. Actually, the reason he went was because the year before, I told a few people, because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
If it happens, just so when I spoke to him, I said, why did you go? He said, because last year you said that. So I knew you weren't here. So I said, I'm like, okay.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
I'm going to go get it. And
last year you were telling everyone to go get it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, guys, just you all go get it.
Yeah, I remember
rush
that.
the stage or whatever.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been a better moment last year.
That would have been a better moment last year, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I have decided that I'm not going to accept the awards until the audit's done.
That's simple.
That's it. And
But
I'm okay with that.
But how does it feel to do that, man? Like,
it feels...
Is it because like the awards aren't legitimate, like, so accepting them wouldn't feel good anyway?
I can't accept them under these conditions. Like, there's no value. There's no... Like, who do I show? Hey, you see this award I'm disputing.
Yeah. The last few months we have gone, this is whack,
this is
and
it.
now I'm cool with it.
No,
Like,
I'm not going to be cool with it unless we all cool with it.
so do you see an audit happening? Do you see...
I don't know why they didn't release audits. I don't know why they didn't tell us who the auditors are. I don't even know if they commissioned an audit.
That's the thing, I don't think it's been done.
They've not told us anything about it. A part of me feels like they thought after it all
you win,
happens
or
and whatever,
like, yeah.
we let it go. But I think they also maybe... look, comedians, we're driven by our egos, right? And I must be honest, at some point in the whole thing, you're wondering if you're going to win. Your ego just go and collect it and just have the moment. I mean, but like, I was like, why would I do that? Because I want to feel good, right?
Yeah, you
No,
want that gratification.
No, I'm more gratified in this situation. If I have to weigh the two up on a scale, this position we're in now is the more gratifying position. If it's about gratification,
Yeah,
this is where I'd rather be.
you'd rather just be sticking to your guns.
I'd rather be awardless, and I'd like to actually
Be able
take
to accept
I'd like
awards,
to
yeah.
accept it, and I hope that they do the audit so I can. But if they don't,
But what if, okay, I know
cool.
you answered this for me on our phone call, but what if they do the audit and it turns out you, like, aren't even legitimate? Like, there's criteria that you don't actually meet, or
which is a
something
real
like that.
possibility, right?
Yeah.
Because I've done my own look into it, and to see where there's lots of people that actually might fall short.
Yeah, that aren't actually legitimate. Like, because we've gone over the
The
criteria.
rules, yeah, the criteria. There's loads of little loopholes that people have slipped in.
They either shouldn't be there or can be there because of, like, a
Yeah.
small sentence, yeah.
Yeah, there's the whole performing 80% of your material or your work in South Africa, which is the most ridiculous.
It's the Trevor
rule.
Noah clause.
Yeah, I think it's not for us, but it is for us now.
now
Going
that you're doing
forward.
international things, yeah.
It might be for me too. But like there's about 3 or 4 of us that fall short of that one. I think we'd have to do a month by month count, how many days you actually worked outside the country versus how many. I don't know. How
Yeah,
you
exactly.
measure
Like, how do
80%.
like, is it paid gigs? Like, because what if you did, like, if
yeah,
the 5 minutes
those
you...
days you on holiday counts.
You see, but that's where having weird arbitrary rules, like, doesn't, like, work. But
Weird 80% is a weird place to draw the line. It's just like it's strange.
you know, it would be cool getting in some auditors beforehand or getting people with experience in these things and drawing up rules that make sense, like,
Yeah.
for all this stuff. Like
How do you
and not
tell
just
you-
not just going with the arbitrary number of, like,
80%, like
yeah.
80% of what? Days? time on stage, minutes, preparation time, holiday included in
Yeah,
that?
well, yeah, because as a comedian, your work includes writing. So if I write if I write 80% of my material in South Africa, but only perform it's the 20% of the time I'm not in South Africa, does that count?
Dude, my one-man shows overseas are like an hour,
Yeah,
hour 20.
but you've done like one.
But I'm there the whole day, like whatever,
So what actually
holidaying or
counts?
whatever the case is, hanging out. So how does that count? Does it count as overseas?
Yeah, how many hours of those 24 hours in the day does it count towards
Yeah.
you performing there?
Towards
yeah,
the whole 24.
I mean, there we go. These are the issues.
So, we'll have to do this some other time.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, cousin.
But yeah, man. So where do you stand now with everything? Like, do you think we should still have
Yeah,
awards?
I
Do you
think
want
I think we
like-
need another awards though, and I think
And do you think they should be independently adjudicated?
Yeah,
like not
I think-
done by comedians. Like,
okay, I think Comics Choice will exist next year. I think they're too invested in it.
it's a big thing.
And for them, it will also be like almost taking a loss
Yeah,
for them to say, okay, based on last year, we're not doing it this year. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you guys win, which I don't think they
The
will
ego
do. No, I think the
vibes
ego's too
don't
big
allow,
to even
but also it's
even
not
to,
just ego. It's also they have invested a lot into it.
I think more ego than investment,
Like,
because because you can always take the investment of
Well, 'cause
creating awards and share it.
okay.
But that would mean then you're
Changing
not
the brand.
owning it.
Yeah.
And your ego is attached to the ownership.
Yeah, well, the ego and the potential money, but yeah,
Yeah,
because
so-
you get more.
So I think the South African comedy community is going to create its own awards in terms of deciding how it works. And I think those awards will then be handled by an outside company.
But
Or-
why do you think we need awards?
Awards do give us a bit of a measure. It helps young comics aim for stuff, which then pushes them, which makes them better, because they want to work harder, go further, because in their mind they might get something for this, and that's not a bad thing to have people try be funnier,
Yeah.
try get more.
See, but
gigs.
to me, like the reward is getting more people into your shows. It's doing bigger shows. It's
yeah,
like that sort of thing. Like it's
yeah.
like, you know, and also like I've tried to remove like my competitiveness from comedy, and maybe that's a mistake, because you know, like I see it as an art, and like I don't like art being competitive, but I get that other people do, because to me art is personal. It's my personal subjective experience that I'm sharing with you in a creative way. I'm not doing it to be better than the other person, even though I want to like get bigger laughs and perform my stuff as well as I can. I struggle to really quantify better, if that makes sense. Like,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
because you're making more people laugh doesn't necessarily mean you're doing better. Like you're doing well, I guess it does, like in some ways.
I think what people are doing is when they're quantifying success or voting, is they're asking, are you
successful?
It's basically coming down to numbers. Are you performing to more numbers?
Yeah.
Are you performing in more places by numbers?
So you're already getting the accolades that I would want anyway, like in terms of doing bigger rooms and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Then to me, like I'm like, cool, I'm doing it, I'm successful. I guess then after that, it's like, what's next? Like,
Okay, so something else that's happened to me in this whole process. I'm for awards, but I am not into awards like I was before this whole process.
Yeah.
Before this particular before the nominations came out,
that's like me when I won.
and how I
the
am
last
now
one.
are two different people in terms of awards. If I don't enter another awards, it wouldn't bother me. If I don't win another award, if I don't get nominated, it will not bother me.
This is literally me after winning the Essay Blog Awards, because I
Yeah.
was like, this is meaningless. Like afterwards, it's like you campaign and you're like stoked, and then you like just look at everything. You're like as much as I can use this to get more money out of advertisers, me personally, I don't feel any sort of reward out of it.
No. Where the value comes in is when you travel and you have
can
these
say in
nominations.
your-
It does help you because promoters also need that stuff to convince. So the currency of it is that it convinces people
See, but
that
then,
you know what you're doing without them seeing you.
and that's what frustrates me, because it's almost
it's a
like
CV.
you're knighting somebody. Like when you do that, like so when someone
It's like a
gets an-
CV. I got a BA in social science. Well,
Yeah.
are you good at social science? Well, I got a BA.
But yeah,
Well,
you
okay,
see,
let's
you have
employ
to
you
do,
and
you have
see.
to do tests and stuff to get there, whereas it's not someone else going, you are the best at this, out of my
Yeah.
subjective opinion. So to me, it's almost like you're king making when it comes to awards.
Yes,
you're
we
like,
are.
like you're busy going, that's the guy, and then that guy gets to go, I'm the guy.
I'm the guy.
You know, whereas like, so it's weirdly enough, yeah, that's where I guess my issue is, because then
I
there are
get you.
politics
I
behind
get
that,
you.
and like
I get you.
it's advertising, like in its own way, it's PR,
Yeah,
like
I
more
get
than
you.
it is reality. But at the same time, I mean,
And I don't disagree with you. I get you.
but at the same time, I do get their importance, but almost anyone that's nominated for awards kind of deserves them. Like, you know, there can be only one winner, but you look at the list, even for the Comics Choice Awards, pretty much everyone there is a good comedian.
Yeah, a nomination's as good as a win.
Yeah.
And that's been my argument, is that's why I feel like there's questions around the nomination process more than there is around the actual winning process, because the nominations is where we're not going to really like
Question
raise our
things.
eyebrows.
Yeah.
Oh, something's not
But you
right
can
here.
always forever be.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing in your bio. Like
Yes.
being a winner or nominated, people see the front part there. Something awards. Cool, that guy's good enough to
He's
be
involved in big
yeah.
things.
Yeah. He's one of the best, like they're one of the top 5. Yeah, the sound of this is going to be fucked anyway. And I think we should probably wrap it up anyway, because I'm late for work, where we're going to go do another interview
Okay,
now.
cool.
Anyway, but thank you so much for your time. And I'm sorry that it's under these sort of circumstances that we had to eventually get this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, I want this podcast in general to just be more of a thing that people can learn about, but I guess the timing of this, we have to talk about the awards. It's,
No, but this is also an important conversation. This is a potential turning point for
the SA comedy scene.
SA comedy in relation to how we view, how we valued.
Yep.
And I think for myself, I know the manner in which I treat this process now is also going to determine how people value awards going forward.
Yeah.
Because I think we've kind of just been pretending for a long time that everything's cool and let's go for it and get excited. And we're like, actually just
Let's
taking
actually
a step
get some
back
legitimate
and say,
awards.
wait, guys, what are we actually getting excited for? Is it worth getting excited for? And yeah, so let's, and look, the thing about our awards is they peer review, right? So peer review is not bad, but it shouldn't be the be all and end all.
No, because
So you can have certain categories, this is my opinion, that are peer review, but you can also have panel categories, you can
Yep.
have
I like that.
whatever, but you must have a mixed bag.
Or you can have categories that are both.
Yeah, you can have a mixed bag of categories, because like if we are now determining who is the comic of the year
Through
based
popularity.
on, yeah, it's a beauty competition.
Yep.
And I'm prettier than Bob or whatever, or whoever was on the list, Kumba
Yep.
or Robbie or Pops. I'm prettier than them if I get voted based on friendship.
Yeah, based on politics.
Niceness?
Based on can that guy get me a gig? Like,
Can I
based
get you a
on-
gig?
Yeah.
Can he get me overseas? He knows who to go overseas.
Yeah, you know what? We actually are gonna do another one of these in a few months' time, like
Yeah.
so that because that brings up even more questions,
Yeah.
like just that your role and everything. But as I said, thank you so much for
Cool, man.
chatting, and let's go do another interview.